episode 14.
14.
Of Dark and Creepy
Things
with
Frank
and
Scout.
Yay.
Yay.
Alrighty.
We know who that patron was.
We know
now.
the patron, because I'm an idiot and didn't look it up properly. It's Maya Myers,
Yay.
also known as H-Bomb.
Thanks, H-Bomb.
Thanks, H-Bomb. It's lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now we've got Bitten by the Bug, aka Frank's mum, Francis, and
H-Bomb.
H-Bomb.
Funnily enough, Francis and H-Bomb are both our peoples.
They are our people.
Yeah.
We know who loves us.
Yes.
And supports us
Yes.
in our crazy endeavours.
My turn.
What do we got?
I'm doing murder this time.
That's a bit different for you. Science, Pam.
Science fan. I'm doing murder, but I will give a warning. This particular article is very gruesome. It's one of the more gruesome ones I've ever read. It actually made me feel a bit uneasy when I read it. And you know I'm not easily. I am easily freaked out, but not that easily. So, just a forewarning.
Less mumbling, my love.
Just a forewarning. Okay, so the article is called Murder of Junko Furuta.
Ooh, I think I've come across this one.
Yeah, you probably would have. It's pretty famous.
Yeah, and I do like to read these things before I go to sleep at night. Yeah.
Because you're weird.
Yes.
So, Junko Furuta was a Japanese high school student. He was abducted, tortured, raped, and murdered in the late 80s. Her murder case was named Concrete Encased High School Girl Murder Case. Due to her body being discovered in a concrete drum. The murder was mainly perpetrated by 4 teenage boys, Hiroshi Miyano, Joe Ugura, Shinji Minato, and Yasushi Watanabe. Approximately 100 people knew about Junko Furuta's captivity, but either did nothing about it or then participated in the torture and murder. Many of the participants were friends of the teenage boys, who were low-ranking members of the Yakuza. Okay, some background. Junko Furuta was born in Misato, Saitama Prefecture. As a teenager, she attended Yashio Minami High School and worked as a part-time employee during after-school hours. She was known to be popular and good-looking, which made some of her classmates envious. However, she was looked down upon by the gangster-like teenagers since she refrained from smoking, drinking, alcohol, and drug usage.
Well, you know that means that she won't spontaneously human combust.
Oh my god.
No smoking, no drinking.
Whatever. She was also a Japanese high school student who died at 17, not 70, as many of the other cases that you talked about last time. Anyway, this is my article. Fuck off with your stupid spontaneous human combustion. Anyway, Hiroshi Miyano, also a known school bully with connections to the Yakuza, had a crush on Furuta, but she turned him down since she was not looking for a relationship. With the exception of Furuta, nobody dared oppose Miyano due to his Yakuza connections. The crime. On the 25th of November 1988, Miyano and his friend Nobuharu Minato now wandered around Misato with the intention of robbing and raping local women. At 8:30 p.m, they spotted Furuta cycling home after she finished her part-time job. Under Miyano's orders, Minato kicked Furuta off her bicycle and immediately fled the scene. Miyano, pretending to be an innocent bystander, approached Furuta and offered to walk her home safely. Gaining her trust, Furuta was unaware that Miyano was leading her to a nearby warehouse, where he revealed his Yakuza connections. Miyano threatened to kill her as he raped her in the warehouse and once again in a nearby hotel. From the hotel, Miyano called Minato and his other friends, Joe Ugura and Yasushi Watanabe, and bragged to them about the rape. Ugura reportedly asked Miyano to keep her so that they could all have a turn. The group had a history of gang rape and recently kidnapped and raped another girl, although she was released afterward. This article's just going to make you mad, isn't it?
Well, of course it's going to make me mad, because it always comes from one fucking sore fucking snowflake getting rejected.
Yes.
Yeah. And then, repeat offenders.
Just escalates.
Who get away with everything. And then,
Anyway.
Like, why were they even out on the streets? Like, what the fuck?
Around 3 a.m., Miyano took Furuta to a nearby park where Minato, Ugura, and Watanabe were waiting. They told her they knew where she lived from a notebook in her backpack and that the Yakuza would kill her family if she attempted to escape. She was easily overpowered by the 4 boys and taken to a house in the Ayase district of Adachi, where she was gang raped. The house was owned by Minato's parents, which soon became their regular gang hangout.
Yeah, I wonder if his parents fucking knew about
They did.
They did, and they're fine with this.
They weren't fine. I'll keep reading.
Okay.
Okay, on 27th of November, Furuta's parents contacted the police about their daughter's disappearance. That was 2 days later, I believe. Yes, it was.
They waited 2 days?
2 days. In order to forestall the manhunt...
Sorry, but everything's, like, you lose nearly all chance of finding anyone alive, even after 24 hours.
Yeah, I know. I don't know why people wait that long.
Yeah. Wasn't it in the 80s?
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
And again, now, we know this stuff now, 30 years later.
Yeah. I know, and that goes back to one of our early episodes, like the Johnny Gosh one, where they waited, again, days before they reported their son missing.
Yeah, it's like, you got to report that shit early, but we only know that now because of these events that have already happened.
True, that's in the first, most likelihood of finding them alive, especially, is in the first 24 hours.
Exactly. Okay, so her parents contacted the police on 2 days later. In order to forestall the manhunt, the kidnappers coerced her into calling her mother. She was forced to say that she'd run away, but was safe and staying with a friend. She was also forced to ask her mother to stop the police investigation into her disappearance. When Minato's parents were around, Furuta was forced to pose as the girlfriend of one of her kidnappers. They later dropped this pretext when it became clear that the Minatos would not report them to the police. The Minatos stated that they did not intervene because they were aware of Miyano's Yakuza connections and feared retaliation because their own son was increasingly violent toward them.
Awesome.
Minato's brother was also aware of the situation but did nothing to prevent it.
Chicken shit.
Furuta was held captive in the Minato residence for 40 days.
Shit.
Where she was abused, raped, and tortured. They also invited and encouraged their other friends from the Yakuza to torment Furuta. According to their trial statements, the 4 of them raped her over 400 times, beat her, starved her, hung her from the ceiling, and used her as a punching bag.
Jesus.
Dropped barbells onto her stomach, forced her to eat live cockroaches and drink her own urine, and forced her to masturbate in front of them.
Jeez.
They inserted foreign objects into her vagina and anus, including a lit light bulb into her vagina and fireworks. They burned her vagina and clitoris with cigarettes and lighters and her eyelids with hot wax. They also tore off her left nipple with pliers and pierced her breasts with sewing needles.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Yeah, it gets worse.
Okay.
Don't ask me, fuck, this, it gets worse. Some of the torturer's friends, now officially identified, include Tetsuo Nakamura and Koichi Ihara, who were charged with rape after their DNA was found on the victim's body. Koichi Ihara was allegedly bullied into raping Futura. After he left the Minato household, he told his brother about the incident. His brother subsequently told their parents, who contacted police. 2 officers were dispatched into the Minato house. However, they were informed there was no girl inside. The officers declined an invitation to look inside the house, believing the invitation was sufficient proof that there was no girl in the Minato house.
That's all true. Yeah, come in, have a look.
Yeah.
Okay, we believe you.
Yeah. Both police officers faced considerable backlash from the community.
Yeah, good.
Had they done their due diligence, Furuta's ordeal would have only lasted 16 days, and she may have well recovered from her injuries. The 2 officers were fired for failing to follow procedure. Yeah. I was like, what the fuck? Why didn't you go in the house?
It's probably paid off.
Well, they got fired, so...
Yeah.
At the beginning of December, Furuta attempted to call the police. However, she was discovered by Hiroshi before she could say anything. When the police phoned back, Miyano informed them that it was a mistake. As a punishment, they doused her legs and feet in lighter fluid and set them on fire. They also pushed a large bottle into her anus, causing severe bleeding. She reportedly went into convulsions. During their trial, they stated that they thought she was faking a seizure, so they set her on fire again. She survived these injuries and continued to be raped and tortured. Furuta is reported to have asked her captors on multiple occasions to kill her and get it over with, but they refused. Instead, they forced her to sleep outside on the balcony, and it was winter at the time, and locked her in a freezer. One of the kidnappers told the court that her hands and legs were so badly damaged that it took her over an hour to drag herself downstairs to use the washroom. Due to the severity of her torture, she eventually lost bladder and bowel control and was beaten for soiling the carpets.
Oh my god.
She was also unable to drink water or consume food and would vomit after each attempt. She was also severely beaten for this.
Gee.
The brutality of the attacks drastically altered Furuta's appearance. Her face was so swollen that it was difficult to make out her features. Her body was also severely crippled, giving off a rotting smell, and that caused the 4 boys to lose sexual interest in her. As a result, the boys kidnapped and gang raped a 19-year-old who, like Furuta, was on her way home from work.
Jesus.
So they kidnapped someone else because the one that they had already was gross.
Fucking got bloody.
I'll read on. It'll make you angry, but I'll read on. On the 4th of January, this was 6 weeks after she'd been captured, the boys challenged Furuta to a game of mahjong, which she is said to have won. Out of frustration, the boys beat her with an iron barbell, kicked and punched her, placed her 2 short candles on her eyelids, burning them with the hot wax. They made her stand and struck her feet with a swinging stick. At this point, she fell onto a stereo and collapsed into a fit of convulsions. Since she was bleeding profusely, pus was emerging from her infected burns, the 4 boys covered their hands in plastic bags taped to the wrists. They continued to beat her and dropped an iron exercise ball onto her stomach several times. They poured lighter fluid onto her thighs, arms, face, and stomach, and once again set her on fire. Furuta allegedly made attempts to put out the fire, but gradually became unresponsive. The attack reportedly lasted 2 hours. The Furuta eventually succumbed to her wounds and died that day. Yeah. Less than 24 hours after her death, Nobuharu Minato's brother called to tell him that Furuta appeared to be dead. Afraid of being caught for murder, they wrapped her body in blankets and shoved it into a travel bag. They then put her body in a 55-gallon drum and filled it with wet concrete. Around 8 p.m., they loaded and eventually disposed the drum into a cement truck in Koto, Tokyo. On the 23rd of January 1989, Hiroshi Miyano and Joe Ogura were arrested for the gang rape of the 19-year-old they had captured in December. On the 29th of March, 2 police officers came to interrogate them as women's underwear had been found at their addresses. During the interrogation, one of the officers led Miyano into thinking he knew of Furuta's murder. Thinking that Joe Ogura had confessed to the crime, Miyano told the police where to find Furuta's body. The police were initially puzzled by the confession as they had been talking about the murder of another woman and her 7-year-old son that had occurred 9 days prior to Furuta's abduction. That case remains unsolved to this day.
Yeah, but how stupid are they? They're good. They get bloody caught.
Yeah, because they were thinking that the police already knew. Yeah. The police found the drum containing Furuta's body the following day. She was identified via fingerprints. On the 1st of April 1989, Joe Ogura was arrested for another sexual assault and subsequently re-arrested for murder. The arrest of Yosushi Watanabe, Nobuharu Minato, and Minato's brother followed. Despite the shocking brutality of their crime, the identities of the boys were sealed in the court, since they were all considered to be juveniles at the time of the crime.
I don't fucking care.
Yeah.
Whatever. Like, fuck you do that.
Yeah.
You should be named and shamed.
Yeah. Journalists from Shukan Bunshan magazine discovered their identities, however, and published them.
Good.
They stated that, given the severity of the crime, the accused did not deserve to have their right to anonymity upheld. All four boys pled guilty to committing bodily injury that resulted in death rather than murder. They're probably given a plea deal.
Yeah, of course they were. That's fucking disgusting.
In July 1990, a lower court sentenced Hiroshi Miyano, the alleged leader of the crime, to 17 years in prison.
Oh, what did he do?
Yeah. He appealed his sentence, but Tokyo High Court Judge Ryu Yanase sentenced him to an additional 3 years.
Good.
The 20-year sentence is the second highest sentence after life. He was 18 at the time of the murder. Miyano's mother reportedly sent Furuta's parents 50 million yen, so USD $425 $5,000 after selling their family home. In 2004, he tried to get parole, but due to an incident, it was denied. In July 2013, Miyano was rearrested for fraud. Due to insufficient evidence, he was released without charge on the 31st of that month. Nobuharu Minato, who originally received a 4 to 6 year sentence, was resentenced to 5 to 9 years upon appeal. He was 16 at the time of the murder. Nobuharu's parents and brother were not charged. Furuta's parents were dismayed by the sentences received by their daughter's killers and won a civil suit against the parents of Nobuharu Minato, in whose home the crimes were committed. After his release, Minato moved in with his mother. He has not worked since. I mean, I don't think he would.
No, you wouldn't be able to get a job. But
people know exactly who you were.
Not even in prison.
I know.
This woman, not only was tortured and lost her life, she's gone and they get nothing.
Yeah.
It's fucked.
Yeah. Yasushi Watanabe, who was originally sentenced to 3 to 4 years, received an upgraded sentence of 5 to 7. He was...
I like how when they appealed, nah. Nah, you get more time.
Yeah. He was 17 at the time of the murder. After his release, he married a Romanian woman.
Ugh, what an idiot.
For his participation in the crime, Joe Ugura served 8 years in a juvenile prison before he was released in August 1999. He was 17 at the time of the murder. After his release, he is said to have boasted about his role in the kidnapping, rape, and torture of Furuta. In July 2004, he was arrested for assaulting Takatoshi Usono, an acquaintance he thought his girlfriend may have been involved with. Joe tracked Usono down, beat him, and shoved him into his truck. He drove him from a duchy to his mother's bar in Masato, where he allegedly beat Usono for 4 hours. Jeez. During that time, Ugura repeatedly threatened to kill the man, telling him that he'd killed before and he knew how to get away with it. He was sentenced to 7 years in prison for the assault and has since been released. Ugura's mother has allegedly vandalized Futura's grave, stating that she ruined her son's life. It has also been reported that Ugura has run through his father's savings, money which was originally meant for Futura's family, buying and consuming a number of luxury goods. So this guy's mother is a cunt.
Yeah,
I'm saying that the girl ruined his son's life.
How about your son
ruined his life
and your life? Fuck you.
Yeah. The sentences were largely regarded as being far too light for the crimes committed, for all 4 individuals were protected by special provisions applied to individuals 18 years old and younger. If that had happened here, they'd be tried as adults.
It's debatable too.
You don't think? I think they would have.
Some systems pretty lax.
I reckon if it happened in the States, they would have been tried as adults.
Yeah, probably.
Depending on the state, but anyway.
And the judge.
Yes. During sentencing, the judge commented that exceptionally grave and atrocious violence had been inflicted upon the victim, and that Junko Furuta had been murdered so brutally at the young age of 17 that her soul must be wandering in torment. Hearing the details of the brutal rape and torture, a spectator in the gallery fainted. Wow. Furuta's mother also reportedly had a mental breakdown, which required psychiatric treatment. Aftermath. Junko Furuta's funeral was held on the 2nd of April 1989. One of her friends' memorial address stated, "Ju-chan, welcome back. I have never dreamt that we would see you again in this way. You have been in so much pain, so much suffering. The happy we made for the school festival looked really good on you. We will never forget you. I have heard that the headmaster has presented you with a graduation certificate, so we graduated together. All of us. Ju-chan, there is no more pain, no more suffering. Please rest in peace." Furuta's part-time employer, whom she worked prior to her kidnapping and murder, presented her parents with a uniform she would need to wear as a full-time employee. The uniform was placed in her coffin. The location near where Furuta's body was discovered has since been developed and is now Wakasu Park. There have been at least 3 Japanese language books that have been written about the incident.
Wow. An
exploitation film was made about the incident by Katsuya Matsumura in 1995. Eugene Kitagawa played the role of the principal culprit. Seiji Fuji wrote a novel about the case, 17 years old, which was turned into a manga. Contrary to what had really happened, the novel shows a happy ending for the girl who survives, and her kidnappers are sentenced to jail for many years. Waita Yuziga also made a controversial manga, Shin Jendai Roikiden, about the case, which was much more violent and crude content. The song Junko Furuta by Indonesian musician is a tribute to her. The musician, was Danila Riyadi. Yeah, Riyadi. But yeah, that's it.
Wow. That's, definitely have to put some content on.
Oh, yeah.
That's, awful.
Oh, yeah.
I can't believe, I can't believe it, I can't believe that those fuckers got away with
less than 10 years each.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
If you're old enough to do the crime, you're old enough to do the time.
They should have gone to life. You know, if that had happened...
I'm not a fan of, capital punishment.
But I was going to say, if that had happened in America, that would have been a capital punishment, for sure. Maybe not if they were under the age of 18, but if they were over the age of 18, yeah, definitely. They would be put on death row. Depending on the state, again. But, holy shit, when I read that article, it was just like... Yeah, I don't know. It was just like... I can't even imagine that another human is capable of that sort of shit.
Yeah, I sadly can, but yeah, it's still fucked.
So fucked.
Yeah. And again, what did it all stem from? Being fucking rejected.
Yeah, and that goes on, and that still happens today.
Yeah, of course it does. It happens every fucking day.
People of women especially are afraid of rejecting people for fear of that sort of shit happening.
Didn't it happen some recent school shootings in the States and stuff?
Yeah.
No, my feelings were hurt. I got rejected, so I'm going to go shoot her and all my classmates. Piss off.
Yeah, because it's about because we've got to teach people, regardless of anything, we've got to teach people that rejection is part of life.
It is part of life.
You're going to have it. It's going to happen.
You're going to feel hurt, but does that warrant you grabbing your bloody family's gun and going killing people, or does it warrant you bloody kidnapping someone and
torturing them for 40 days?
It's fucking disgusting.
Yeah.
Absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, but it's interesting to think that in the 30 years that that's happened, nothing's really changed.
It's not interesting. It's bloody sad.
Yeah, it is sad.
It's so ridiculous. People, and especially men, still get away with this shit. Yeah.
Anyway.
Thanks for that cheery.
I know. The last one was a lot more fun. This one's a lot more sad and disturbing.
Mad.
And angry. Yeah. Sorry, friends. Sometimes you have to get real.
Spontaneous human combustion.
Oh, fuck off. It's not real.
Well, I won't fart for 30 days.
Okay, fine.
And we'll see me spontaneously combust all my fat and, burn up.
Fine. Well, this has been a dark thing.
This now marks day 0 of Scout not farting.
You won't even last a week.
Well, we'll see.
You won't even last a day. You'll fart in your sleep. I bet you'll fart in your sleep.
I'll try not to.
You'll be asleep. You won't be able to control it.
Bitch, please.
Whatever. Whatever.
Alright, so that was a very dark...
It wasn't necessarily a creepy thing.
No, it was very dark.
Dark as hell.
Well, sometimes you gotta just go with the dark.
Anyway.
So I hope everyone's okay after that.
I'm sorry.
You were warned beforehand.
I'm sorry.
And of course we'll post the link to the wiki article on the episode. Yes. Yeah. Thanks again to our patrons, who we now know Maya /HBomb, and Francis, and Bitten by the Bug /Frank's mum.
Thanks, Mum.
Cool. Alright. Alrighty then. Another episode of Dark and Creepy Things?
Yes.
Things.
Why do you always look at me to say that bit?
Because I want to see stuff up.
No, it's things. I'm not going to stuff up this time.
Stuff.
It's not. It's not. Stop moving the microphone.
Alright, see you next time.
Bye.